Morning everyone, and welcome to a nice and early start on the Sunday morning where I am going to be paint correcting the quite frankly trashed black paint on the M Coupe. And you know what that means, starting with a nice and thorough wash. So now that I'm done washing the car with some standard soap, I have to move on to this ceramic prep wash. Now what this is supposed to do is remove any of the prior waxes or sealants or any sort of protection. So this will be wash number 2. I will put half this bottle in about 1 gallon of water and wash it again. So while I have some soap suds in here, I'm gonna use a Mother's synthetic clay bar, dip it in the soap, and clay bar the whole car. So that stuff actually did a fantastic job stripping the previous protection. As you can see, the water is not beating up at all, which means the protection is pretty much gone. All right, so now I've done a standard wash, a strip wash, a clay bar, and now the final step is iron remover. So what this will do is take out any of the remaining iron particles from brake dust and whatnot. Then the paint should be completely contaminant free. So I was gonna demonstrate what that does, but because the black paint, you really couldn't see it. Now with a different colored car, that would turn purple if any iron contaminants were left over. So anyways, the paint should be as clean as it could realistically get. So I'm gonna pull it in and start drying. So I'm actually gonna use a leaf blower to dry the car. Now I made sure to sweep out the garage floor to make sure I'm not blowing sand all over the place. So I will get right to it. So there's a number of pretty bad paint repairs around the car. That right there being one of them. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sand those down in 4 different stages. So I have 1500, 2500, 3000, and 5000. Technically you're not supposed to use your finger, but whatever, I'm not a professional. So I'm going with it, then I'm going against it. And you'll see that there is a spot from me sanding. However, the actual paint repair is much smoother. Come back in with the 2500 grit, do the same thing, and now the 3000. So at this point you can really feel it smooth out quite a bit. Wipe it back down once again. You can see it's really starting to look relatively even now. Back with the 5000 grit. And you can see that the paint is pretty much flat now. The original paint repair is still there, but that can pretty easily polish out, and I will do so in a moment. So now I'm going to use some of this Meguiars Mirror Glaze medium cut cleaner on a heavy cut pad. So I'm going to come in with the pad, spread it around, and get to polishing. Not go over that for that long, maybe about 30 seconds or so. So I'm going to spray that down, and we're going to wipe it clean and see the results. And as you can see, the scratch is almost indistinguishable now. It was right there, and you can barely see it now. I'm gonna go back over it one more time briefly. And as you can see now, the pretty bad paint repair is blended in much nicer than it was before. Now, clearly you can still see a scratch there, but it looks infinitely better, so I'm happy enough with that. So now that the car is 100% clean, we can inspect the paint. Now, as you can see, there are lots of swirls, and there are spots where I fixed some paint chips with some sandpaper and a polisher. So that is also gonna have to come out. Still lots of swirls in the paint. Over here, I did another paint repair, that'll have to buff out. On the trunk, more repairs that I had to sand down. Not perfect as you can see, but they look a lot better than they did. And on the roof too, you can see there's some nice scratches. Can't really see it on screen, can you? Not really, but trust me, in person, it doesn't look so great. So to start off the correction process today, I have an Avid Power DA polisher. As you can see, it's a bit crusty. I've used it on maybe 4 or 5 cars by now. I've got a Meguiars 6-inch cutting disc microfiber and the Meguiars Ultra Cut Compound 105. So that is a heavy cutting disc and heavy cutting compound. Now I'm gonna start off with a test spot that intersects some of these sanding marks just to see a before and after of what the paint will look like. So after the first pass, it's already looking much shinier. So that's just the aggressive polish. Now let's do the fine cut. Now for the fine cut, I have the Menzerna Super Finish Plus and a black finishing pad on the polisher. Now let's see how that does. So as you can see from the very clear lines there, the very swirled paint is pretty much gone. The swirls, some of the deeper scratches are still there. I'll have to attack those a little harder, but especially where the sanding marks were, like that is a very significant difference. And this difference in swirls is pretty significant. So this is certainly a winning combination, I think, for this car, so I'm gonna do the whole thing. All right, so to do the rest of the hood, I removed the grills and I absolutely snapped the crap out of a lot of the plastic tabs. This grill's fine, but this one is 1 clip, 2 clips, and then the rest are gone. Alright, so I have now gone around the entire car with the aggressive polish, and you can already see it is looking super good. Now I want to go around with the fine polish, and then after that I will be doing a ceramic coat. So I am fully done with the polish of the shoe, and it is super shiny. So I went with this Graphene Ceramic Coating Advanced Kit from Adams. For those of you interested in how to do it, pause here. So there's still a good bit of noticeable residue from the polish, so I'm gonna use the surface prep to wipe the car down again with one of the included microfiber towels. So I've gone over the whole car with the surface prep, and my goodness, absolute mirror finish on this. So now that the surface prep is done, I didn't use that much onto the ceramic coat. So what we're gonna do is apply a thin strip and then work in a small section going in a cross pattern. And then I'm gonna come in and buff that off. So as you can see, the ceramic coat is done. You can tell that the paint is much better. The swirls are more or less gone. And the paint is looking beautiful. If you get a close up, you can really see why it's called Cosmos Black. I'd say the one downside is this really highlights the slight fading that is on the headlights, but once again, that is a relatively easy fix, so not that worried about that. So pulling the car into the sun, you can still see it's a little swirled still. Not swirled, still has the deeper scratches, but all the swirls are gone. And In the sun, this color's weird. It just looks gray. Overall, I think it came out so much better than it was, and that ceramic coating, pretty nice. It still looks goofy with no grills, but that'll have to do for now. I had to order some new ones, so that'll be fixed. So anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.